Okay, match 2 with Izzet Blitz. We're on the draw, and we only have one land. But we do have some card selection. We do have a creature. Is this good enough? Mulliganing is one of the hardest parts with this deck. It's very hard to decide what a good hand is and what a good hand is not. I take that back. Sometimes it's very easy to tell what a good hand is and what a bad hand is, but the ones in the middle, it's hard to know whether you should mulligan or not. Okay, we're up against Affinity, so we're probably going to be facing down some 4/4s. Atog. Alright, the early Atog is actually not that scary. It's only scary if they have the fling in hand. Alright, so we need to find a land drop. Do we want to try to do that with Preordain or Ponder? I think I'm going to do it with Ponder. Alright, Island, Shadow Rift, Ponder. That's fine with me. And now I don't really want any more card selection, so I'm going to scry those off the top of my library. And look for a mountain. A Gush. Not great. So next turn we can Gitaxian Probe and Gitaxian Probe again for a couple more redraws to try to find a mountain for this Cyclops. The really awkward part against Affinity is that they don't play Lightning Bolts, they play Galvanic Blasts, which can take down Nivix Cyclops in one hit. Get hit for 1 from the Atog. And our opponent has a Somber Hoverguard. Alright, red mana. Delver Secrets. Okay, I could Delver Secrets. Doesn't really do anything. Let's do 1 Gitaxian Probe. Because if we see that our opponent has no blast, we could Gitaxian Probe again and dig even farther for this mountain and just slam the Cyclops and try to win the next turn, since we have Gush and Gitaxian Probe. I guess we won't have Gitaxian Probe the turn after if we use both of them looking for a mountain. Alright, so they do have the Galvanic Blast, unfortunately for us, and they have a Temur Battle Rage. So this means as early as next turn, possibly, if our opponent has a land, they'll have 6 artifacts, they can get rid of all 6 of them, float the mana, and kill us with Atog. So yeah, we are possibly dead. So how can we stop being dead? Delver Secrets doesn't do anything as a blocker because Temur Battle Rage means they trample over. I suppose I'll start off with a Preordain, try to find a red, and then bolt this Atog on our turn. They only have to sacrifice one thing, but maybe they decide it's not worth it and they just let it die. Which would not be the correct choice, but maybe they do it anyway. Alright, we'll play a Delver Secrets because there's nothing else that we can do, and we will pass. I think our opponent has it and is probably going to go for it, but there's nothing else we could do. And I think our opponent kills us. Our decks are very similar. We both try to kill our opponent as quickly as possible, but we're not quite aggressive decks that flood the board. Our opponent blasts the face. We go to attacks. We're going to chump block this Atog, and then they're going to Temur Battle Rage, and we're going to die. Alright, and they go up to 7 power Devil Strike, so that does 13 with the Atog alone. So Dispel can be good against the Temur Battle Rage, or the Fling if they have it, depending on if they even play Fling. Some versions only play Battle Rage or Fling, and they don't play both. That would be good against them. We actually could have potentially not played the Delver Secrets there, and left open a blue mana to threaten the fact that we had Dispel, because our list does play Dispel main deck, and they probably knew that. So maybe that was a punt. We should have left open mana and put the fear in our opponent, and maybe they wouldn't have gone for it. But we were going to lose that game either way, I believe. So against Affinity, especially since it's the Somber Hoverguard version, we want the Pyroblast for both Thoughtcast and Somber Hoverguard. We want the Hydroblast for Battle Rage, Atog, and Fling and Galvanic Blast, and we want the Smashes. So we have a lot of very powerful cards against them. We could also even potentially bring in Flame Slash if we needed to, since they have a lot of 4 toughness creatures in the Carapace Forger and the Mirror Enforcer. But then we have to decide what we want to take out. Gut Shot is fairly bad, only takes out the Germ tokens. I don't really want them to be blocking us, so I'm going to take out the Mutagenic Growth. While Impulse does help us find our sideboard cards, it takes a little bit too long. I'd rather have the cheaper card selection. And then I'm just going to cut some of the pieces that we have multiples of and slow ourselves down a little, but add in the ability to have very powerful plays with a Pyroblast, Hydroblast, and Smash to Smithereens. And we will submit this. We get to be on the play. Alright, we have one of our sideboard cards, and one of our creatures, and lands and spells, so this is pretty good. I think I'm going to play out this Wilds and crack it for a blue turn 1. I want to save all my cantrips until after I have a creature on the board, if at all possible. Alright, our opponent does leave in the Flare Husk. And now we get to smash their land. And hope that they have a land light hand. Next turn we can play Nivik Cyclops, or we can wait a turn to try to protect the Nivik Cyclops with a Hydroblast if we can draw into a land. So our opponent has another land and another Germ token. Okay, so here's the question. Do we play Nivik Cyclops and just count our opponent not having a Mountain or a Springleaf Drum plus Galvanic Blast? Or do we wait a turn because our opponent's not putting us under that much pressure and we have Hydroblast that we could use to counter the first Galvanic Blast? I think I'm going to wait. I don't want to wait, but I am going to wait, I believe. I'm also not going to play this Ponder yet. Like I said, I want to save it until after I have a creature on the battlefield. So next turn, we're going to Nivik Cyclops, hold up and Hydroblast, and then the turn after, assuming we don't have to Hydroblast, we're going to Ponder, Bolt, maybe cast another spell or two, and try to win. Our opponent's up to 5 artifacts, so they could have cast a Mirror Enforcer there. Thankfully, it was just a Prism. Although they do now have access to red mana. Take 2 down to 17. Another Cyclops. Well, as it turns out, we probably should have gone for it, based on what we drew. They didn't have a red source last turn, and we drew a replacement Cyclops, but we could not have known that before, so well. Alright, our opponent's going to attack here. I think I'm going to block. I can counter a Temur Battle Rage, or a Galvanic Blast, or a Lightning Bolt, or whatever it is that they're potentially representing here. Also, they could just be attacking for the fun of it, because they know that I won't punish them by playing an instant or sorcery and wasting it. It is potentially a good idea for them, though, to leave back the Frogmite, because these Germ tokens are black, and the Frogmite is an artifact. And if I draw Apostle's Blessing, I can only choose either black or artifact to give protection from. So I'm going to use Hydroblast to counter Pyroblast in an epic battle of sideboard cards. And now my opponent has no red mana, and I can win this turn if I draw Temur Battle Rage. Exactly. Alright, so I'll lead off with Ponder, and look for the Battle Rage. Gush, Dispel, Delver of Secrets. So I think I'm going to keep the Gush, since it's a free draw to. And then I'm going to Preordain and get rid of those other 2 cards, because I'm still looking for my Battle Rage. Or at the very least, a Apostle's Blessing or Shadow Rift. Okay, there's Apostle's Blessing. Now it's time to Gush. And at this point, I believe I can Bolt plus Apostle's Blessing for how much damage? That would actually be lethal, wouldn't it? And I also can Ponder first, just for the fun of it. So there's the Ponder. Teamer Battle Rage. Okay. Obviously going to put that in my hand. So I can either Bolt plus Apostle's Blessing, or I can Teamer Battle Rage, and it really doesn't matter either way, because our opponent can't do anything for 1 green mana at instant speed in the Affinity deck. And we're going to win this match. Or win this game, rather. We got one more game in the match. So I think I like Gush a little bit too much, and I shouldn't have sideboarded it out. I'm going to get rid of this Shadow Rift and bring the Gush back in for game 3, and we'll submit it like this. Alright, our hand has no red mana, but we do have a Hydroblast, a turn 1 Delver, and a Ponder to look for red mana. And now it's just a question of how fast our opponent can kill us. They lead off with a Star. Alright, we drew a Smash. I had a momentary thought that maybe I should play Ponder and look for red mana so I can smash as early as possible on turn 2. But on the draw, smashing a land turn 2 isn't that big of a deal, as much as it is if I was on the play and I could smash their very first land. So I think I'm just going to save it. Alright, Delver Secrets is down. Our opponent plays a Husk. Alright, so we're going to ponder, we're going to look for red mana and a way to set up this Delver Secrets to flip once we cast it. So we could force our Delver to flip, but it would be at the cost of having to draw these cards. I think because we have Gush in there, it's okay. So I'm going to put them back like this, draw the Rage, and reveal the Gush if our Delver of Secrets lives to our turn. I would really like to find some red mana for this Cyclops or this Smash, but being able to both flip the Delver and put a Teamer Battle Rage into our hand is a pretty good deal as well. Our opponent has no play. So that means they don't have Mirror Enforcer, they don't have Frogmite, they don't have more Flare Husks. They probably are stuck with red spells in hand, they don't have Thoughtcast. They probably have Atogs and Galvanic Blast for days and just no access to red mana. Maybe some more lands in hand, another land or two. So my next question is whether I want to play Gush this turn, or whether I want to wait a turn. The downside is that it hinders my mana production by having to return 2 islands. The upside is I'm not doing anything else this turn anyway, and I can still hold open Hydroblast. I think since our opponent isn't doing anything, I'm going to press the advantage by gushing and try to get another creature on the field. I don't know that that's correct, but in general, whenever I'm not sure what to do with this deck, I try to be a little bit faster and go for more aggressive plays. Okay, there's a Kiln Fiend. So no red mana, no cantrips, and there's nothing I can do. Discard an island to hand size here. I guess the good news is that I wouldn't have been able to do anything for the next couple turns if I hadn't gushed anyway, because I'd still be drawing those cards. It would just be taking me longer. So our opponent apparently drew a Carapace Forger for the turn, because they didn't play that last turn. Alright, Preordain. Now can I find a mountain? Evolving Wilds Kiln Fiend. Okay, it doesn't matter where I put this Kiln Fiend, because I'm going to be cracking this Evolving Wilds anyway. I would like to be able to hold up in Hydroblast here. However, Evolving Wilds means I need to play it this turn if I want the red next turn, which I do. Carapace Forger is also good for them because it's one of their non-artifact creatures, so I can't smash that or apparently the new one with the smash and try to change this damage race around. So as it is now, we are losing the race badly. Alright, Apostle's Blessing. So I think I'm probably going to go for Kiln Fiend plus block a Carapace Forger this turn. The question is whether I attack with the insect or I leave it back to block the Flare Husk Germ token. I think I'm going to have enough damage with this Kiln Fiend should it survive that I do not need that I don't need to attack with the insect this turn. I'll just take the slightly more conservative play and leave it back. Just preserve my life total as much as possible. Our opponent has a Hydroblast, that they're going to try to take out our Kiln Fiend with. So do we Apostle's Blessing it now? I think we kind of have to. This does mean that we don't get the boost on our opponent's turn, so we can't trade with a Carapace Forger, or rather eat a Carapace Forger, because we'd have given it pro-green on their turn. But we also need this Kiln Fiend on the battlefield to be able to win next turn. So here we're most likely taking 8 down to 3, and then if our opponent drew a red, they can post-combat play it and bolt us. And we're going to let them do that, because we can't win if we just throw away a Kiln Fiend to gain 4 life here by jumping in front of a Carapace Forger. Also, double blocking a Carapace Forger isn't good either. So do they have the red plus blast? Mirror Enforcer, okay. So the easy play here is Smash plus Temur Battle Rage, but we don't have 2 red mana. So if I smash the Mirror Enforcer and then Hydroblast a land, then our Kiln Fiend is attacking for 7, and they take 3 from the smash and 3 from the Insectile Aberration down to 1, and then they kill us. If I Hydroblast a land and then Temur Battle Rage my Kiln Fiend after it gets blocked, then it's a 7-power double striker. So I hit for 10 with it and 3 with the Insectile Aberration and take them to 1, so it's the same amount of damage either way. So my only way of winning here is if my opponent doesn't block with the Mirror Enforcer. I can, if I attack and they don't block, then I can Hydroblast anything. I can Hydroblast a land, Temur Battle Rage my creature, and then it will be a 7-power double striker. And that way I don't even have to attack with the Insectile Aberration. So I'm going to attack, my opponent's going to block, but there's some world where because I didn't attack with the Insectile Aberration, they think they can just take 1. And I've got some removal in hand, and they don't want to risk having their Mirror Enforcer taken out because they need it to attack for lethal next turn. I don't know. Nope, they blocked. Alright, so that's it for me. I'm going to lose this match, unfortunately. Unless our opponent does not attack this next turn. So I'll play an Evolving Wilds pass and just pray our opponent plays around Fog, which doesn't exist in blue-red. Alright, super close match. Very close. But unfortunately, we could not overcome it. We could just smash our opponent. Yeah, let's just do this for value. Here. It's the moral victory. And our opponent's going to fling it in response. Galvanic Blast is in response. Very nice. Okay, so we're 1-1 after a gruesome battle with Affinity, and we're on to match 3.